I don't know about you, but when I first started in the business, I really struggled. I'm not a natural networker. And I had to learn the right words to use. I had to learn to understand where the people I was talking to were coming from, because I really wanted to build a team. I could see how this business worked for so many people. I wanted to be one of those people. I wanted my life to change. But I went out and I told people about this fantastic thing that I discovered. And I told people about Forever, and I told people about Allo, and I told people about network marketing, and I told people about the success that they could have. And nobody wanted to listen. I don't know if that's a similar experience that you've had. I also then, when I found the first few people, in fact, when I said I told everybody, I didn't. I told about half a dozen people, and none of them wanted to listen, and I froze. Because I was scared of the rejection, the humiliation of partly of them saying no, but it was more the look on their face when they said no. And I kind of got into the mindset where before I approached them, this kind of sneer on their face would be in my mind, and it just stopped me approaching them. And I had to discover a way of breaking out of this, and I discovered a way of being able to get the message in front of absolutely anybody, whether I felt they were high above me in their social status or not, anybody, without risking any sense of rejection. In fact, without them even noticing that I was approaching them about the business if they weren't interested. The only ones that would notice would be the ones who were interested. And it was this simple, small discovery that changed the whole way I did my prospecting. And it unlocked prospecting for me, and it meant that I could approach people, and I was able to approach a lot of people, and some of them were interested, some of them joined the business, some of them have been on this journey with me for next month. It'll be 20 years since I joined Forever. And for first 3 years, I built my business. I struggled to overcome in the first 6 months my fears and my challenges. But then, having overcome them, I worked at building the business. And after 3 years, my Forever business was in such a way that it has looked after me for the rest of my life to this date, and I have no reason to doubt that it's going to continue to support me in the lifestyle to which I've become accustomed for the rest of my life. I want to share with you that approach today. It's actually pretty simple, but it is based on understanding a couple of things about human nature. And this is really important because every single person we talk to is a human being. Difficult to actually recognize that sometimes, but every person has this psychology that we need to recognize and we need to understand. And if we understand it and we work around that, then we're able to identify the right people for our business. So, a few things that we need to understand. No matter how excited we are about our opportunity, our prospect will only join when they can see what's in it for them. And one of the things I wrote down on a big sheet of paper, which I pinned above in the early days, obviously, it was making phone calls all the time. This approach, by the way, you can use text messaging, you can use it on Facebook, personal messaging, telephones, face-to-face conversation. It's not about phoning, it's about having a conversation with people. So they will only join when they can see what's in it for them. And this thing that I wrote above where I was making phone calls was, don't tell them what you can do, tell them what you can do for them. And I'd underlined for them. And I think this is the essence of understanding prospecting, because if we do that, we can get our prospect to properly consider the information so they can see the benefits for them. They'll be eager to join, and they'll be eager to get going as well. Because it's not about convincing somebody to do it, it's about opening their eyes to the possibilities that they can change their life. We need to be able to do that. So we need to tell people what could be in it for them. But at the same time, there is another element of psychology, and that is the minute we start telling people things, they start to feel we're selling them. I don't know about you, but whenever anybody tries to sell me anything, the answer is no. I might not even know what they're selling. You know, these guys who try and get you to sign up a standing order for a charity in the high street, as soon as I see a guy with one of these tabards on approaching me, I've suddenly discovered a full diary. And I haven't got time to talk and say, sorry, I haven't got time to talk to you. I might have all the time in the world. I probably have got all the time in the world. But it's the feeling that I'm just about to be sold something that has triggered that response. Those charities that he's trying to get me to sign up to, I probably support anyway. I probably think they're brilliant. If the approach was different, I would probably support them. It's the approach that I'm reacting to. So we need to be really mindful that we are not telling people. We're helping them to understand what could be in it for them. Now, I struggled with how to do this, because on the one hand, I want to tell people what could be in it for them, and on the other hand, I don't want them to feel that I'm trying to sell them, and so they say no before they know what they're saying no to. That's a real issue, I think. So people will also say no if they can't see anything in it for them. So we've got to tread this fine line between having them see what could be in it for them without it feeling that we're selling them. And I suppose there are many ways that you can do this, but the way I discovered, and now I teach my team, and really this is the only approach that I teach my team. You know, maybe there's a dozen people, half a dozen people that you know that you can approach directly, but most people, if you're anything like me, you just don't feel you know well enough to make a direct approach. And the fact is that we need to get our message in front of absolutely everybody we know and absolutely everybody we are getting to know. We need to have a way that we can do it that we feel comfortable enough with so that we do it. Because if we're scared of what we're about to say, chances are we won't say anything. And if we don't say anything, then they're never going to know what the benefits are. So, this is just a few phrases, and I'd encourage you to write it down. It's really simple. But don't feel you have to take every word down, because in this instance, the responsibility for you learning this approach is mine. So, sit back, relax, feel the words rather than note them down. So essentially it's in three parts. The introductory part is the company that I'm working with. It's given me responsibility for recruiting some key people. And I think you may well know the kind of people I'm looking for, the kind of person I'm looking for. It's a really simple approach. It's not original to me. I got that approach from Jan Rue. Almost everything that I teach, I've learned from somebody else. So you can say that to anybody, because you're asking for help. The thing about human beings as well is if you ask for help, most of them would be inclined to try and help you, as long as it's not going to cost them a huge amount. So then we go on to the next part, whereas I describe the kind of person that I'm looking for. And I learned how to do this because I read a book about asking for referrals. And I found that when asking for referrals and using this approach, I was actually getting more people expressing their own interest rather than giving me referrals. And I thought, hang on a minute, this is brilliant because I'm actually getting what could be in it for them in front of them without them even thinking that I'm pitching them about the business. So let me give you a couple of examples and an example of how to handle the possible responses. Let's say I'm talking to somebody who's 20-something, 30-something, got a couple of toddlers, she's had a career, but she gave it up to have the kids, spent all her savings, now her and her partner need an income. She's in this dilemma. She wants to go back to work because she wants the money, but she doesn't want to go back to the work because she wants to be there for the kids. She doesn't want somebody else bringing her children up. What we offer this person is an opportunity to replace her professional income, but do it in hours that suit her family commitments. Hours that she can put in around the needs of her kids. So if I'm talking to somebody like that, I would say the company that I'm working with is giving me responsibility for recruiting some key people. I think you may well know the kind of person I'm looking for. The kind of person who does really well with us, actually. Somebody who's 20-something, 30-something, got a couple of kids, they've had a career, good career, but they have given it up in order to have their children. And now they've spent all their savings and she feels the pressure to go back to work. She wants the income of going back to work, but she wants to be there full-time for her kids. She's in this dilemma. All I've done is painted a profile of the person I'm looking at as if I was talking about somebody else. Now, as I was describing that profile, I saw several of you, the ones that I can see in the front, turning to the person next to them, saying, "That's me." You did that, didn't you? You did that, I saw. Several of you out here. Yeah. And that's what we've done by telling this little story. So then, at the end, all we need to do is say, who can you think of that might like some information? So 3 possible responses. One is, sorry, Andy, can't think of anybody. That's okay. I hope you didn't mind me asking. No, just sorry I couldn't help. So they are actually feeling more awkward because they couldn't help than you are for asking. That's the worst case scenario. There's no sense of rejection, no negativity, no, is it one of those pyramid things? Because what triggers all that, is it one of those pyramid things? It's the feeling that you've engendered, that they are about to be sold something, talked into something. But this approach doesn't create those kind of feelings. No, sorry, I couldn't help. That's okay. Second possible response is, actually, my sister's in exactly this position, or my best friend, or sister-in-law, or somebody, and they put you in touch with them, and you've got a brand new prospect that you didn't know. Third possible response, and the one that we were actually going for, is, well, I might be interested. What is it? Now, at the what is it point, you need to be really careful because there is a big, big trap for you to dive into, because if you immediately start trying to present to somebody face-to-face or over the phone or in text messages, and you know you're presenting if you use words like aloe vera, forever living, Rexmorn, network marketing, all in the same message. If you start doing that, then you suddenly trigger those I'm being sold to feelings, and the answer is no when they don't even know what they're saying no to. So what I do, there are loads of ways of delivering information. Some people prefer to do one-to-ones, and I built my business for years and years doing one-to-ones because we didn't have the internet. These days I hardly do that. I use the resources, video resources. Many of you have seen the 5-minute video that I've done, which everybody's welcome to use, freely available. And then I send to people. So when somebody said, what is it, what's it all about? I give them a little potted history. The company's called Forever. Have you ever heard of them? I've got a video link, couple of video links. I can email you or message you if it's on Facebook. Have a look at those and then let's have another chat. How does that sound? So it's a really casual way of building the what could be in it for them by layering on information. And what this triggers is them wanting the information because there could be something in it for them. And suddenly it changes their posture and their approach. And you'll find that instead of them sort of responding by saying, oh, all right, then I'll have a look at it, which is no good, they'll be saying, thanks for thinking of me, that's brilliant. And they're excited about it. So they look at the message. Now, to be honest, whichever video you use, it doesn't really matter. It's not really about that. It's about creating the right mindset when they come to do that. I used the Your Future video for years and years because that's all we had. And I've used others. It's not really which video you send that counts. It's the mindset that you've created and then watching it. The results are exactly the same. I'll give you another example. Let's say this time I'm talking to somebody who's a little bit older. So I'm talking to a bloke, mid-30s. Could be a woman, just the same, but you'll get the profile. So the company that I'm working with is giving me responsibility for recruitment. I'm asking everybody I know for help. You can throw that phrase in, which is often a nice, gentle phrase to throw in. I think you may well know the kind of person that I'm looking for. So the kind of person who does really well with us, somebody who's 30-something, 40-something, done really well in his career, he's achieved every promotion that he's gone for, he's at the top end of his income scale, nice 4-bedroomed house, drives a really nice car, to all intents and purposes doing really well, but he feels trapped. He's under a lot of pressure at work, his workload's being increased all the time, he's getting less and less recognitions, colleagues are being made redundant, and he's afraid of the potential redundancy, and he's looking for a way out. He's looking for an opportunity to build some financial security for him, and also to have the time to build a future for himself and to enjoy life. Who can you think of that might like some information? So the guy says, well, one of three things. He says, sorry, I can't think of anybody. That's all right. Hope you don't mind me asking. No, sorry, I couldn't help. That's it. Worst case scenario. Second possibility is he can think of somebody, a colleague or his brother-in-law or somebody he's just been having a chat with in the pub, and he puts you in touch with them and you've got a new prospect. Third possible response is, well, I might be interested. What is it? And then you've got to kind of just play the game that you hadn't really thought you could do, and you've got to go, oh, I never thought you might be interested. I tell you what, I've got some online videos. One's 5 minutes long, a couple 5 minutes long, and why don't I drop an email to you and have a look at those, and then we can have another chat about it. How does that sound? So it's a really casual thing, and he wants it now because we've whetted his appetite. We have created and triggered curiosity, and so now our prospect wants what we've got. And so our status has just been elevated in his eyes. He's on best behavior now because we've got what he might want. Not we're chasing him. And that feels good. It feels very comfortable to make this approach. I'll give you one more example. Let's say somebody 50 plus, in the prime of life, I like to think. Somebody who is, I tell you what, 50, for most of you in the room, you won't have realized this, but when you hit 50, things change on that very day. And here's what changes. That is that the idea that you will one day be an old person is no longer just theoretical. You suddenly realize that you are going to have to live that kind of life. And it's terrifying. It's terrifying if you haven't got any money, if you haven't got the kind of things that you want to do in life, if you haven't got the resources to do that, you don't live the kind of life that you want, pretending you're enjoying your bag-packing job at Tesco's, when really you're just doing it to make ends meet. Nobody wants to live like that. Afraid of becoming redundant. Loads of people taking early retirement when really they've been made redundant, and they just call it early retirement to maintain some sense of dignity. So you're talking to somebody who's in their 50s, and you say, the company I'm working with is giving me responsibility for recruitment. I think you may well know, I know you wouldn't be interested. That's a phrase to throw in with the people that you're really scared of. I know you wouldn't be interested. But the kind of person that does really well with it, I think you may well know the kind of person that we're looking for, the kind of person who does really well with us, somebody who's 50 plus, got a lot of experience of life, a lot of experience in the workplace, and they want to put that experience to good use. They're being underpaid, undervalued at work, they're worried about redundancies. What we offer this person is an opportunity to build an income running alongside what they're currently doing that can build up to a substantial nest egg, and in fact can deliver a pension that they can start taking a long time before normal retirement age. Who can you think of that might like some information? So 3 possible responses. Sorry, Andy, can't think of anybody. That's all right. Hope you didn't mind me asking. The second possible response is that they give you a referral. They tell you about somebody they've been talking to. And let's face it, there are loads of people in that situation. The third possible response, and the one we wanted to trigger, is, well, I might be interested. What is it? Now, they might put on that skeptical look. You know the one with the furrowed brows? And the voice, the tone of voice? Oh, I might be, what is it? Skeptical is good. When you're new, you often take that skeptical tone as a negative response. But here's what skeptical tells you. It's that on the one hand, they're hoping it's true. But on the other hand, their life experience has taught them that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So there are these conflicting emotions, but we need to recognize it's the hope that is the one that's going to carry them through to build a business with us if they can see what we can see. Because that's what we want. We want for them to be able to see what we can see. And in order for them to do that, they need to gather some information. In order for them to gather that information, they need to want to gather that information. And that's all we're doing with this approach. Triggering that desire, triggering that curiosity, and then they're going to do the work. It's really important to remember that our job is not about convincing people. When we start to try to convince people to join us, we just trigger this negativity against the way we're making the approach. There are millions of people out there. I mean, thousands in this room who want to change their life. Just think of the millions that there are out there who want to change their lives. Think of the other millions who today don't want to change their lives, but next week will have decided they do. Or next year will have decided they do. Countless millions of people who want the kind of opportunity that we offer. All our job is to sort those who are looking for an opportunity to change their life from those who aren't. And we do that by just floating in front of somebody what could be in it for them. And we can take a good guess at what could be in it for them by looking at them. You see somebody who's 25, 20-something, 30-something, I call them the yummy mummy group. You see a yummy mummy, you know what the benefits to talk about. You see a jaded executive, that's the middle one I talked about. You know what to talk about. You see a pre-pensioner, so the 50-plus person. You know what buttons to press when you paint your little profile. Now, there's a video that I've done. I did it at one of my trainings. I call these prospect profiles. There are about 14 different prospect profiles on there. It's freely available. If you just Google Andy Waring prospect profiles, I'm sure you'll find it. It's on YouTube, or it's on my Facebook, my open Facebook page. And you're welcome to see it and study it. It will trigger ideas, and you're welcome to use that. The really important thing is to always remember with every prospect that it's always about what's in it for them. It's not how good we are at presenting. It's not about how good we are at convincing. It's about simply triggering their curiosity so they think there could be something in it for them, and then they will do all the work. I found it really useful throughout my career. I know loads of people in my team find this very useful because it just unlocks your whole list. All those people that you have previously been scared to approach or reluctant to approach because of what you imagined, suddenly you have a way of doing it. I'd really encourage you to use this approach. I hope you found that useful. It's been great to talk to you. Thank you for your interest.